I, along with many others, decided to give the Black Ops 4 beta this weekend a try to see exactly what Treyarch had been working on, and there were quite a few things that really caught my eye. Off the initial play, off the initial start of a lot of my games, there was a lot of things that really caught my eye and a few things that I want to be talking about today more specifically. The terminology was a really big factor to me, the ability to now no longer call things kills, rather call them eliminations, call them EKIAs. Damage stats now seem to be the new KD ratio type of statistic that a lot of the players are going to be kind of warranting, going to be talking about. I feel like in past, whenever you're playing Call of Duty, the biggest thing that you always want to point out is, what's your KD? What's your KD ratio? Is it above a 1? Is it a 2? Is it a 3? Depending on how good you are in the public lobby space. Now it seems that they're trying to prefer themselves into the damage stats. Not even showing any kills or any deaths at all, just showing what your overall play means to the objective of that game. Along with a new addition of Control as a new game mode for Call of Duty, to me, the biggest thing in all of this has to be, at least for competitive, 5v5. 5v5 seems to be what is going to be the new 6v6 system that we've seen in past Call of Duties. If you've played public lobbies in Call of Duty, which you have, you notice that it's going to be 6v6. When it comes to competitive, it has always been 4 versus 4. And to me, this is what is going to be very, very exciting for next year. If competitive does move to 5v5, is the ability for competitive and public to be as close as a thing as possible. If you were to go back and look at all the competitive Call of Duty titles, the ones that we think are the best in history, as being the best esports titles for Call of Duty, were the ones that were as close to the playing game as possible. The Black Ops 2s of the world, the ones that were so close in regular play style, the guys who were playing in public lobbies could look at competitive and know exactly what's going on. That was regarded as one of the best Call of Duty titles in history. You look at COD 4, so many little things that were in the game that were also from the public lobbies. And this particular video really stems from a number of different things, my thoughts on the beta, my thoughts on a lot of different things regarding Black Ops 4 competitive, but also from Clayster. Clayster, of course, an esports professional, one of the legends of the scene, and also current player for E United, had a very controversial tweet, essentially, this week, where he talked about saying Black Ops 4 competitive, he wants to try everything. All the maps, all the specialists, all the perks, all the guns, let it all rain free, at least off the start, and to see where we can get, because his goal of the tweet, his goal of competitive for next year, is let's try and appeal to the average Call of Duty player. Let's try and appeal to the mass Call of Duty audience that doesn't understand competitive Call of Duty. And for the record, you can't hate on them for not understanding the game, because it's not the same game. We're not playing the same Call of Duty game for the most part, with so many things being taken out. And whose fault is that? Is that the esports fans' fault? Absolutely not. Because in past, when I talk about which things have been removed, perks, weapons, attachments, equipment, all have been banned, all have been gone through the process of being added to the gentleman's agreements discussion. But to me, the biggest problem in past, especially for Call of Duty, has been the maps. Infinite Warfare competitive maps. Does anyone know how many competitive maps were in Infinite Warfare? 6. And out of those 6, 2 of them were only used in one game mode. Crusher was only used in Search and Destroy, and Precinct was only used in Uplink. You know how many competitive maps are used in World War II? Surely it's better. 7. And 2 of them are only used in one game mode. Flak Tower is only used in CTF, and USS Texas, Search and Destroy, only as well. And also, you got to keep in mind, for World War II, vetoes are added. So you're going to see, and what we've come to know, and what has been a massive discussion with adding map vetoes into Black Ops 4, has been the topic of saying, hey, Black Ops 4, or with World War II, excuse me, you have World War II, you have these maps, you add in map vetoes, what's the problem with that? Well, it can start to make the competition stale, which I understand that from a viewer's perspective, and this is all related on viewer discretion, what they want, because the game at its core, people want to play only a few maps. There's times where in map veto systems right now going on in competitive Call of Duty where you only see 2 maps played out of a best of 5. Only 2 maps, and that can get boring, not just for a tournament, but for an entire season of an esports title, which of course is what Call of Duty goes through right now. So in Infinite Warfare, there were 6 competitive maps. World War II, right now, there are only 7. And so many questions that the Call of Duty scene is asking itself right now is, how do we put COD back on the map? How do we attract new viewers? How do we make the game exciting? And I have an answer for you, esports fans out there. Call of Duty esports fans, I have an answer for you. It isn't your job to make the game exciting. It isn't your job. It isn't your job to try and make the game fun to watch. That is what is the game. That's what the game's meant to do. It's meant to attract the viewership. That's the reason why the Counter-Strikes of the world, the Dota 2s, the League of Legends, the Fortnite now, the reason why they're fun to watch is because the game is exciting, not because of all the things you've taken out from it. The game at its core should be fun to play, and that's how it attracts the viewers. That's how it attracts the attention. And as of recent, Call of Duty has been an esport developed on its past success and its current drama. That is how Call of Duty, at least as of recent, has been making a name for itself. Has been the roster moves, has been the roster changes, it's been the drama behind the esports scene, the ability for players to call each other out, the big sequences of rivalries between teams, between players, between player and organization has made Call of Duty what it is right now. And everything that we've talked about related to Call of Duty Esports, at the end of the day, comes down to the game. And it comes down to me two questions. The two questions that define an esports title right now, which means, is it fun to play, and is it fun to watch? If it covers those two things, you probably have, in some way, a decent esports title for the most part, as long as it's competitive, right? Because I want to point out, I enjoyed the beta this weekend, for the record. I enjoyed the beta. It feels, to me, very, very similar to Black Ops 3, which isn't the worst thing in the world by any means. Black Ops 3 I thought was a fantastic title. I definitely like the idea, by the way, behind Clayster's tweet by saying, hey, let's just try something new, right? There's no harm, at least in my opinion, in trying something new, trying something and going out there and just giving an effort to try and make all of these outside things that don't seem like they should be in the game. Let's give them a try and see how they work. Because in past, at least, we've had issues with developers kind of supplying competitive needs. We've had issues with them not necessarily agreeing or not necessarily helping the competitive scene regarding what should be banned, what should be taken out of the game, patches that we need as competitors. However, throughout the beta, at least Treyarch was very quick to balance things. From my knowledge, from watching their tweets, from playing it throughout this past weekend and going to be playing it this weekend as well, they were very quick to at least take out how strong the SMGs were. Like, they were very attentive to that. They were taking notice. They were taking, notes away from a lot of different things, and it was very refreshing to see, especially as a competitive esports fan. But if we think about it, right, at the beginning of Black Ops 3, when we were talking about the idea of specialists, what should we do with these things? Like we should be taking out a lot of these different factors. I, for one, which this is going to be a negative opinion, I loved the idea of the specialist. I know they didn't work out the way that everyone wanted, but I thought that it was worth trying, and I think it's worth trying again, because like I said, if we go back to Black Ops 3, a lot of the major things that I felt were very competitive in the game regarding the strategies behind certain things, the vision pulses, the active camo, the gravity spikes in Black Ops 3, to me, made it a much more fun esport to watch because we had so many little things coming into the game that provided a lot more analysis for the commentators to talk about. It provided a lot more, in-depth talk that a lot of the players, a lot of the fans enjoyed knowing. And I feel like for right now, Black Ops 4, it has a future, it has potential to be there. And I think one major thing that this entire segment really brings me back to is that as long as the game is as close to the public setting as possible, I think we're set up for a great year. I really do. And it's difficult to say that being in the first 3 days of the beta, the first 4 days of the beta have already taken place and everyone's kind of, had their fun for right now. However, I think if those things have been reached, if those things have been attended to, and if Treyarch continues to do the way that they, or to keep up their pace as far as patching things and taking things out and at least having that conversation, learning what the fans, learning what the community wants, I think we're set up for a fantastic year. I really do. And I think off of Clayster's tweet as well, bringing it full circle, it may seem like an odd idea for now, but I think working and trying to have as many things in the game regarding competitive as possible is helpful to not just the viewers, not just the fans, but also to the developers, because they want to have all those things be in the game. And if you're coming in day one and saying, hey, we're taking out this, we're taking out that, we're taking out that, no one wants to work with that. No one should want to ban anything. You should at least try it and see where you get from there and see what the results are from it. And I think that's exactly what Clayster's trying to do. But Black Ops 4, you have me interested. I'll say that.
Thank you for watching the video, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you do, you'll get a free llama.